Theodore, my first question for you is, can we agree that we're both standing on the same floor right now?
I'd say so, sure.
Great, I just wanted to establish some common ground at the outset. Now, can we have a copy of your 1AC?
Sure.
Now, can you agree that you as the affirmative team have the burden to prove a significant harm and a significant advantage?
Yes.
Can we also agree that the United States government exists for its own citizens?
I would say fundamentally, yes.
Now, before these terrorists were placed into military commissions, they were captured, correct?
Correct.
Now, the reason these terrorists were captured was because they placed a threat to U.S. national security.
Right, and we're trying to address that threat and bring closure to the victims of those threats.
So, my other question is, related to these military commissions, how many of them are there currently in operation?
So military commissions themselves are a concept that can be used for things other than international terrorism. There's currently one military commission system in place in Guantanamo, which is the one we're addressing at this point.
Now, can we agree that your plan applies to all military commissions in general?
No, I hardly disagree with that. Because military commissions in this case, the ones we were talking about that were established by President Bush in 2001, is the one in place in Guantanamo.
If the United
We're
States,
not arguing to abolish military commissions.
during the Iraq War, the United States tried some international terrorists in a military commission in Iraq, correct?
Yes, and that would be a separate issue that we're not addressing.
So if we had another military commission in another country and we wanted to try international terrorists in that commission, would your plan affect that, or just Guantanamo?
Well, I mean, I'd love to see some discussion about another military commission. We're addressing the one in Guantanamo.
Right, but if there was another military commission in another country, would your plan affect that?
Well, I believe there are other factors to consider about whether the terrorist was captured in that area or not.
But would your plan prohibit that blanket with a blanket policy, or yes or no?
We're specifically addressing the one in Guantanamo, so I would say no as of now.
Okay. Now, how many terrorists are currently in Guantanamo Bay?
So, excellent question. We don't absolutely know that question because, unfortunately, that information was not publicly released.
So,
I wish I had that information.
So, we don't even, how many of these terrorists in Guantanamo Bay have not been tried?
Again, the problem is some of those numbers we can't provide because it's not given.
By the government?
Yes.
Okay. Why don't we just ask the government to provide that information first, then to have a discussion about whether we should pass your plan, so we can have an informed policy debate?
Well, I think we can agree that the government should disclose more of this information, but unfortunately, in reality, they haven't, so we have to work off what we
So
have.
why don't we just require the government to release that before we have a policy discussion?
Unfortunately, we cannot do that within the context of this debate. I'd love to address the philosophy behind that, but unfortunately, I can't do that.
Okay, so you talked about how we have 660 terrorists who have been convicted in federal courts, but out of how many people that we've tried to convict in federal courts?
We have some statistics back at the table that the success rates in federal courts is in the area of 90%. I believe we've tried roughly 700 something over the past 15 years.
Can we agree that most of the terrorists currently in Guantanamo Bay are through the 9/11 attacks?
I believe, well, we have the example of the 5 that are currently sitting in Guantanamo Bay. Since we don't have the numbers of how many are there, I can't say for sure.
And how will your plan affect future, so actually I'm out of time, so I won't ask that question, but thank you.